Everything will get unmuted. You need to mute.
It has finally happened. Another massive financial institution has bent the knee to Bitcoin, and is none other than the second best. You know, unlike Michael Saylor saying there is no second best, there is a second best, and that second best name is Vanguard. Over 10 trillion of assets. Today, crypto ETFs went live. Which ones? We know Bitcoin went live. There's 3 other ones. Which ones are they? We're going to talk about those ones. We're going to talk about Bank of America. They have decided to tell their people, hey, you should put 4% into your Bitcoin portfolio. Well, 4% of your portfolio into Bitcoin. Is the shift happening? Is this the turning point for Bitcoin? I'm curious to see what Rob thinks. Is the bottom in again? We'll get his thoughts on that. We have Magic joining us to break down some charts. We hope you guys are ready. Today's going to be a great show. Team in the back, whoever's pressing the buttons, roll the intro.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob. We're back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. We take old, boring, and stale information and we say, bear market, you're not here. But you know who is here? $91,000 Bitcoin. We are back. We're very 92,000. We're right here on the doorstep of that.
What's your favorite kind of door? Barn door, front door, garage door, bathroom door?
I like the back door, you know.
Of course you do. How did I know that was? Yeah. So cool, right?
Then there's
so
also, when in trouble, you go out the patio door, you know.
We've heard the story. Please don't share it again.
So,
okay, today's a big day. Today's a very big day. I want to take everyone on a trip down memory lane. Let's take
going back to my my high school days when I won.
No, not your high school days. No one gives a shit about your high school days. We're going back to the days of, well, the former CEO of Vanguard. This was just a couple years ago. Take a listen.
Spot Bitcoin ETFs. Question came in, hey, we know you're not offering one. Have you changed your mind? What would it take for you to change your mind? We don't plan to, and we don't, we're not going to change our minds around this unless the asset class changes.
Yep.
Why? First of all, we don't believe it belongs. Like a Bitcoin ETF belongs in a long-term portfolio. If someone's saving for their retirement, it's a speculative asset.
That's exactly it.
And the funds that we offer invest in asset classes that actually have underlying cash flow. So, like we mentioned stocks, you're buying the forward earnings of a company.
That's right.
And that bond, right,
has coupon and principal payments.
yeah, you're going to pay me back and you're paying me something for lending you the money.
Exactly.
Right, so they both can be valued. And that's, for us, we understand why they would rise up in a portfolio and the role they will play, and we can model them. Something like Bitcoin is just too volatile, and it's not a store of value. It hasn't been. And it's very volatile. When stocks got hammered in recent crises, that Bitcoin went right with them. And so it is speculative, really tough to think about how it belongs in a long-term portfolio.
Well, new CEO, and well, look at this from Eric Balkuna, senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. Starting tomorrow, this was posted yesterday. Today is tomorrow. Vanguard will allow ETFs and that's mutual funds tracking Bitcoin and select other cryptos to begin trading on their platform. They cite how the ETFs have been tested, performed. Come on, Eric. Check your posts, man. You're making me look stupid here. Have been tested to perform as designed through multiple periods of volatility. I think this has more to do with the new CEO. Tim Buckley is out. Soon after, actually, I think it was, a few weeks after Vanguard announced they're not going to do the Bitcoin ETF, that Tim Buckley was either pushed out or resigned. And new CEO, BlackRock comes out. Rob, remember, BlackRock late last week came out and said, or it was early this week sometime, there was a report that said their Bitcoin ETF was their best performer in terms of revenue for the company. Out of all their ETFs, their mutual funds, their products, the Bitcoin ETF was number one. And there is one language that everyone around the world speaks, and that language is money. If you can make me money, I will bring you to my house. If your product can make me money, you can put your product on my platform. That's what happened with Vanguard. And so here we are. Now, We know there's Bitcoin. Well, what else is there? Let's take a look. There's Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. The Chosen Four, or we should give it a cool nickname, the Fantastic Four. Rob, is it a coincidence that Bitcoin rallied from $87,000 to $92,000, $5,000 overnight on the same day that Vanguard decides?
There's just a lot of bullish news coming out too. So yes, that is a major piece of why this rallied, but also, let's take into account that the Fed has pretty much stopped quantitative tightening.
No, they have.
They have stopped quantitative tightening.
In fact, they've done quantitative easing.
Yeah. So basically, what we were doing was the Fed was selling off assets, right? The Fed holds a big portfolio, right? And call it that kind of thing, right? Big portfolio, a lot of holdings, a lot of company debt, a lot of
mortgage-backed
bonds,
securities.
a lot of They got a big portfolio, right? And what they do is when the markets are down, they'll just buy, right?
When liquidity dries up, they step in to buy those.
Yeah, they'll buy them when nobody else is, right? They come in and save the day. But now, what they were doing over the last few years, they were selling these off, right? They were selling what the money that they were lending out to people essentially. And now we're going into an environment where very bullish for the economy is that, hey, we are coming in, the United States is coming in and now buying up debt again, investing in companies. That's essentially what it is. They don't call it that, but that's really what they're doing. They're just buying into companies, giving out money, and also printing.
They just injected the most amount of money into the bank repos since COVID. So
we have that. Plus, you got Vanguard, so we have a Bitcoin initiative there. And then so you got the potential new Fed chair coming out, and so it's just lining up to
Mr. Hassett.
lining up to be a very bullish scenario that we're getting.
Well,
and then also you got Donald Trump came out again. I've been telling you, David. I've been telling you, Donald Trump came out again.
I'm done with
and he said he doesn't understand why rates aren't getting cut down to 1%.
He's going to keep saying that until Jerome Powell's gone. Mike Vollmer said, let's hope Trump doesn't dump the markets with his announcement today. Yes, I agree. Take a look at these numbers. These numbers are staggering. Okay? Look at your screen here. The Vanguard effect. Bitcoin jumped 6% right around U.S. Open on first day after the Bitcoin ETF ban was lifted from Vanguard. Coincidence? I think not. $1 billion in trading, Rob, in the first 30 minutes. $1 billion of trading volume in the first 30 minutes. I knew those Vanguardians had a little degen in them. Even some of the most conservative investors like to add a little hot sauce to their portfolio real quick. Yeah. What is your favorite hot sauce?
Texas Pete.
What?
You asked me. It's Texas Pete.
I've never seen or heard of that hot sauce.
You ever been to Chick-fil-A?
I have.
You ever got hot sauce at Chick-fil-A?
The buffalo, yeah.
No, hot sauce.
It's buffalo sauce.
No.
The orange one?
I understand what buffalo sauce is, but there's a hot sauce.
No,
it's literally hot sauce.
Texas Pete?
It's Texas Pete brand. Yes.
Cool.
It's a very Virginia thing. Anyways.
Yeah, I figured.
Very good.
Yeah, sure.
Very good. Also, there's a Portuguese hot sauce called Piti Piti. It's not spicy, but it tastes amazing.
Piti Piti.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Thoughts on the volume here? These are massive numbers, dude. Let me see if
they already knew, dude. They knew what they were missing out on. That's why they pulled the trigger, right? Competition is making money. We talked about it when Vanguard first took the stance that they were not going to offer Bitcoin services, and then we were like, hey, eventually they're going to see customers leave. They're going to go elsewhere. You're going to see their competition make a ton of money, and then what are they going to do? They're going to reverse stance. And well, lo and behold, what was it, a year ago now? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a year later, boom. They're like, guys.
Yeah. So I want you guys to take a look at this. So we have, look at these numbers here. Can we go full screen on this computer here? Because I want people to see these numbers, okay? This is not some BS company, run-of-the-mill. My friends, in December of 2024, Vanguard has, as of, and I think that number is higher now, $10.4 trillion in assets under management. Okay? This is only second to BlackRock. Only second to BlackRock. So now you have the two largest asset managers in the world that are offering Bitcoin products. Not only Bitcoin products, at least for Vanguard's case, XRP, Solana, Ethereum. I think this has more to do with the company changing CEOs than it does our thesis change. Their thesis has not changed. Bitcoin doesn't produce cash flow like Tim Buckley said 2 years ago. Doesn't pay dividends. It's not a stock. It's not a company. It's an asset. It's a commodity. Same with Ethereum, XRP, Solana. Now, the thing with XRP, Solana, and Ethereum, the unique thing about that is going to be those will have staking. So that is a revenue-generating asset, a revenue-generating commodity or security, security asset. If we're talking about, Gary Gensler, man, those are good days, We used to come on the show and tell Gary Gensler how big of a complete idiot he is and how much we hated him. And we show the HR videos. Those are the days. But today's a new day. New CEO, new money. So I'm saying, guys, money talks. Money talks. And BlackRock was the sandbox, and now Vanguard joins, and every single large asset manager will have no choice but to join or watch their customers flee to the likes of their largest competitors like BlackRock and Vanguard. With that said, I'd like to bring in friend of the channel, friend of myself. I was going to say my home, but that sounded weird. Magic's joining us like he does every Tuesday, although I'm a little disappointed in him today. He promised me that he was going to bring tacos on the show, and, well, Magic, I don't see tacos, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I got some barbecue pulled pork that I made in the crock pot in the oven right now that I'm going to eat tacos with later.
Dude, that's my... I was going to ask you, what's your favorite taco? Is it like the birria taco is a pretty big deal for people. Some people like the quesadilla
anything hard
tacos.
shell for me.
What is it? What was
hard
your
shell? Got to be hard shell.
Hard shell? Okay. No, I mean like meat.
Hard shell.
Like
anything
meat.
with a hard shell.
Meat. What kind of meat?
Oh, shit. I'm pretty plain Jane, man. You can doll it up any way you want.
Let me guess.
Today it's barbecue pulled pork.
Let me guess. You put chicken fingers in a hard taco and call it a taco?
I've done that. I'm not gonna lie.
He said I've done that. That was a total joke. You're supposed to laugh when you say, who would do that? But I guess you would do that. Magic.
Yeah.
We have Bitcoin. Somebody gave Bitcoin a Cialis up $5,000 overnight off of the news of Vanguard. Whether you want to attribute the price action to that or not, that's subjective. That's up to you, your opinion. I think it has something to do with it. Now people are going to start drawing these lines, right? Like I don't know what it's called, like the spider webs. Well, this happened, and then October 10th, well, maybe they did that because they knew BlackRock or Vanguard was going to come in and approve the ETF, or they had to flush the markets down. I don't care about all that. I'm just saying right now, price moved. Vanguard's first day of the ETFs. Bitcoin's rallied. Do you think this is going to be a sustained rally, Magic? Are you seeing anything that tells you that this could continue to the upside, or should people find caution ahead?
Yeah, I think this is kind of just a mean reversion play, to be quite upfront with you. So I'll get my screen up real quick. Pretty simple. We talked about this box being revisited last week. We said I'm not really expecting a V-shaped recovery. I'd expect to see these lows again. It actually front ran the box by like $150. So sorry about that. But the previous week low was swept. We expect either the previous week low or previous week high each week to be hit. Statistically speaking, it's just the most probable thing. It's an 80% likelihood every week. So you've now taken the lows, you're sitting above the previous week EQ, and you have a monthly average that, at 93,998, that gets hit north of 70% of the time. So, I mean, it's still just a range play for me. So nothing really changes in terms of market structure or trend until we're realistically back above these two, auto-generated averages. That don't generate till next year, but as of right now, this is where they would be projected. So this is your yearly and your 6-month time frame pivots. So if you were back above that, you'd also be above the previous month EQ. You've left the previous month low. So if people want to be bullish, they're going to have to get back above this region of the chart, call it $100,000. We talked about how important that was for the yearly 50%, et cetera. Above there, and there's some real cause to actually be excited about the Cialis that Bitcoin received. But until then, I'm actually looking at this as my next trading area. Excuse me. So I'm looking for somewhere above the previous week high at 93,000. It's also your yearly open for those that keep track of those things. Yearly open's a big level on the chart always. So there is some resistance ahead. So I would say that if you are in the mode of, where should I be cautious again for this to revisit the lows, and where does it start looking like, okay, maybe I need to be more patient and look to see if we come back into this area, maybe even take this low. As of right now, I actually have no reason to think that this low won't be taken. Statistically speaking, it's the most probable thing in the month of December still, but that changes above about 95K. So if you were to be cautious in the short term, like maybe there is a pullback off some resistance, I would just look towards your monthly open here. It's also your weekly open this week. But the monthly open is going to be a good barometer paired up with the previous week EQ, which is going to expire at the end of the week, of course. But until then, we can certainly use it in the short and medium term. So this is what I would be looking into for this week going into Sunday, saying that this is the area on the chart that I want to hold. If you go to like a 4-hour, you can see exactly where it is. And it's kind of like what held us up here before we got our little mini nuclear explosion to the downside here. The BART pattern played out. So as of right now, above the monthly open, I'm looking to see probably 95. It may even exceed that, so we'll see what we get. But I wouldn't get too I wouldn't get too bullish, but I also wouldn't be too bearish because, when we were in 2021, did I go back too far? No, I did not. I'm on the 4-hour, so I'm having to do a lot of scrolling. This like 32 to like 35K region was pretty big support. And you can see we're in a very similar position where we were expecting our new yearly pivot to be generated, which it was. We came down to macro support. This is, I believe, when when Ukraine got invaded, actually was here, this low at like 34, right. The higher low. Yeah. And so a lot of people were really bearish, but you got to remember, this was big support for Bitcoin at the time. You can see your previous range here, trying to put in what people perceived as a potential higher low. And it really beat on this support until it just couldn't anymore. And you're seeing something very similar, I think. So I would just be cautious until we see a true sign of strength of the chart, be calling for all-time highs or things like that. There's a lot of narratives that are going to go around that people are going to say, oh, we're going to be printing money. QE just ended, or not QE, QT just ended, excuse me. QE is going to start. So just be cautious of that. I think price is always the best indicator, rather than just kind of trying to predict what the market's going to think of something. So for me, I'm just treating this as a range. And I like I said, I'd be willing to trade this box again if we reached it. And I think that the same thing can be said if we come back down here. It is support until it isn't. And this is probably going to be resistance until it's not. So you've got a pretty large range here between like 80,000 all the way up to 100. You've got a 20% range to trade if you're a trader. And, you should really be taking advantage of that. Or if you don't want to trade and you don't want to risk it, just know where the bottom and the top side of the range are and kind of wait for confirmations in either direction before you make a decision. Beautiful.
All right. I want to, so those that have been watching our show, you guys know, we bring it on Brennan on our show. This kid's been crushing it. Brennan, I know you've been trading Solana. We were talking about this yesterday off air. A lot of the crypto charts look the same. And so you really got to dig into the lower time frames, and you've kind of been just trading the Solana chart. Is there a setup that you're kind of looking at there, Brennan, with Solana, or anything else you might be kind of eyeing?
Yeah, right now I actually just got into a Solana trade about, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, maybe. I don't know. But I had a trend line right here waiting for a break to the upside and a break of structure. And I saw everything in an uptrend this morning, so I didn't want to trade anything to the downside today just to make sure that nothing crazy happened and I didn't get any crazy moves to the downside. So I got my breakthrough, my trend line up to my break of, and I got a break of structure. And then I have a fair value gap down here after that was from the break. And it came back down and retested my fair value gap at around like 139.7. and it's been pushing up out and pushing back in. So it's kind of becoming like a support zone for it. But I got put into the zone at 139.6, or I got put into the trade at 139.6, and I'm targeting this high up here. So I want it to push through this high, and that would be a pretty good trade for me. And then my stop is down here at 139.3.
139.3.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very significant pattern there. It's called a McDonald's pattern. I'm loving it. You know, the three arches, or no, wait, that's two arches. Anyways, okay, so you're in a long. I mean, it's difficult to short the markets right now with the momentum, unless you're on the high time frame and you have, I don't know. Okay, cool. Magic, I want to go back to you. ETH is an interesting play for me. Ethereum, staking, Solana, staking, and I'm speaking of the ETFs. I think that's going to drive a lot of interest from the likes of customers that have accounts at Vanguard, at BlackRock, at some of the largest asset managers. And so ETH is, I believe, right now above 3,000. It was down to $2,700 over the weekend. Are you seeing anything different on the ETH chart from a structural standpoint than you're seeing with Bitcoin? Is it more bullish or bearish than the Bitcoin chart? What's your take on ETH?
I think ETH is, if you're just looking at it through the macro here, we got a nice blank chart. And if we compared this to Bitcoin's chart, you know, ETH is noticeably weaker in terms of like overall structure. That said, on the move down, it is in a pretty bouncy territory. I don't know how far it's going to bounce. We can take a look at that in a minute. I would say that we're still looking to see this probably at least come up to 3,096. I do think 3K will be significant. But for those that were wondering where you bounced from, obviously you have your 2018 high here. If you were to look at things through the lens of just fibs, you've got a nice gold pocket, just local gold pocket, always good. If you cruised out to the monthly, you've got a clear monthly settle up. It's the only one you have outside of the low. So you can see right here, you've got two basing candles on the monthly. It was also your Q3 open that we had previously marked out at 2,500. They just gave you a nice zone here. And even if you were looking for trend to the downside, meaning that you were just measuring, you know, I want to measure this move down and then base it off of the new high, you could do so with a trend-based fib. If you were to do so, it was also backed up by your gold pocket there at those levels. So you had a nice box here of, you know, support down to maybe even $2,400. That said, you should be looking for a mean reversion on this one as well. So if you're looking for a target, I would say start looking to your monthly candle. Look to where is my previous month EQ? Where is my monthly average from November? And you can see that the EQ is all the way up here about 3268. And we'll go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff so it's just nice and clean. So it's one level on the chart at 3268. And then we just need to look and see where the average is from last month. And that's going to be from our pivots. Well, that's your yearly average, which is definitely going to be something you want to keep aware of. So your yearly pivot's also there. So you're actually already below that. Not a good sign because Bitcoin is above its. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is above its yearly pivot. So this was here at 80,107, whereas Ethereum has already given it up. And it's actually become one of our bounce targets. So it would be meaningful for Ethereum to reclaim that like 3,200 region. Let's see where the monthly was generating and see how that compares. Yeah, you're already meeting that monthly. That's not the most ideal thing, but if it pushes above, I would still be looking at this area. You know, these local highs here is kind of like an area that I'm very interested in seeing, because if they flip, you have the opportunity to potentially enter this, you know, old range here and maybe even challenge it to like 3,700. Yeah, Ethereum doesn't look as good as it. Not that Bitcoin looks great, but I would say Ethereum does not look as strong as Bitcoin. One thing I really want to highlight on there is it's kind of cliff dwelling as well if you went out to the macro. So, you know, one, you could make this argument to actually trade this as a long based on this. But if you go out to like a monthly or a yearly chart, whatever you've got to do, one, you'll start looking for your yearly open. You'll notice that you're beneath it. So we know that we've got big support here with the local gold pockets. But when you start looking at this through the lens of overall structure, you'll notice that the previous all-time high to low here are probably your most significant. So I would then say, let's just look at our overall low here at around like about $1,000, give or take, and then look at our new all-time high that we've placed. That is where I want to see where are we? And we're smack dead in the middle of the range. So this is a pretty pivotal point for Ethereum, just like it was for Bitcoin. If we were just to look at this through the lens of where we are, we would expect this to be defended, because below here generally opens the door to that prior all-time high at about $1,400. So, if we lose this, box of support here, that does extend down a little bit, down to like 2486. I think we said we call it $2,400. If you lose that, you are looking down to probably 1,400, in my opinion. I think that would be best case scenario, would be maybe a few $100s above it at like 16. But so for now, I would expect this to bounce again. That middle EQ of the new month at about 3268 is going to look attractive, and if we can get back above that, we can start making those targets for higher levels potentially. And if you start looking at like a weekly time frame, you'll see that you really don't have much resistance built up, because you've just kind of been basically straight down, even on the weekly chart. I know that there's a lot of people that trade trend lines. I saw Brennan doing that. So you could very easily put a trend line on here, however you want to do it, and say, maybe ETH, comes up in contact with this later, and that's a place I want to take a short. You could also just look and take something like as simple as a VWAP and say, where's my VWAP coming in? It's at 38.97 and it's going to trend down over time. Can I link that up with something else that's going to give me a little convergence or confluence? And it looks like it's going to be right in there at the gold pocket. So if this does pop above that 3268 level, I think that you've got a potential, upside value to like 3,900 to 4,000 at that point. But nothing really gets done until you're back above those levels. If you can't break through this level of resistance, and I think you could probably even extend it a little bit down, then yeah, this would be like an early take profit. You can see the local highs from the most recent weeks, but realistically, even if this thing bounced even higher, you're looking at 3,700 to 4,000 being kind of the material place in the market. That price has got to get back above. Looking at the future pivots coming in for next year, maybe we can get the yearly pivot up. There we go. Yeah, that's always never a good sign when the yearly pivot's generating right on top of the old one. Kind of validating that even if this pops up, it's probably coming back down to like 3,300, and that's going to have to be the level to hold, because I would put just as much weight on these, this area of the chart like we did with Bitcoin, where we put the 6-month and the yearly pivots as a zone. And if we just extend it over from where they would generate right now, you can see why we want to see, 3,300, at least in the short term, reclaimed, because that's going to give us access to this price action right here. Until then, it is resistance, at least on the short and low time frames. But on the high time frame, if we come up here, get a rejection, and then revisit this is where we need to find support. If we can find support there locally, this looks like a deviation, and then maybe we can gain access to higher prices, such as the all-time highs, where you're looking at this as a range like so, and you're saying, can I get into that box and live there? Or will it reject and then come down and find resistance and make its way down? So that would look something like this. You either want to see it come up and do something like this, and then find its way into the range. This becomes your deviation, or you're going to find something like this, and it's just going to give it all up, and then it's just going to trend into the bottom side of the range. And then if we extend this range over, you see how that turns from a local time frame trade into a much higher time frame range, and it starts to look much worse. So that's a lot of scenarios to throw in your head, but I would just really advise people to keep in mind, if Bitcoin is breaking down and we're expecting a bear market, which some people say it's confirmed, some don't. I don't think that Ethereum is going to fare any better. So on these moves, if you're looking for, a hedge or a short, that's where you're going to find them, is on these pumps. So I would watch these pumps, see where they get to. Does it actually change the chart? If it doesn't, maybe consider either taking some risk off, or if you're willing to put risk on in the opposite direction, go for it. Some people are comfortable with that. Some are not. Some people are not comfortable shorting, and that's fine.
Yeah. From what I got, Magic, is be careful longing ETH right now, because it looks like it's at that, I don't know if it was the yearly open, it was like 3286. So
Yeah.
if I'm sitting here and I'm watching you and I decide to take the information you gave me and put in a trade, I am not putting in a long trade. I think it sounds like leaning more towards a short. That's kind of what I got from it, unless.
Yeah, if you didn't long that box, it's tough. You've got to be an intraday scalper at that point to find an invalidation and be comfortable with it being hit, because you didn't get a premium entry, which would have been lower in the chart. But, for me, looking at things, if I was an intraday trader, I do think that you're probably still going to see, 3,000 plus on this, like $3,100 for the previous week high. We've got no reason not to think that. I do think that you'll probably see 3268, which is kind of near our current yearly pivot in that monthly EQ. And so if I'm looking at there, I might trade for those if I can find like an intraday setup that suits me and I can get invalidation. But if I'm looking at this as like, hey, I'm taking this position, I want to hold it for weeks, I think that ship has sailed just a little bit based on where we are. And you might want to wait for another retrace before entering a position quite like that.
Beautiful. Magic, before I let you go, are there any trade setups that you are kind of on your radar that maybe you want to share with people? Anything that's like ready to pounce on right now?
Kind of Zcash. I know that's a popular one. Zcash did exactly what Bitcoin did. This is a double inside bar setup. So you'll notice right here, this would be your mother candle. And I'm going to get rid of this over here. So this is your mother candle for anyone that's unfamiliar. You can see that you've got a low here and a high here. This candle failed to break either low or high, and then the very next candle failed to break the previous candle's low or high, which forms a triangle naturally. But when these do break, what you expect is you expect to see either the low or the high of the original, what they call mother candle, which would be this one. So we were expecting either the high at 750 or the low here at 372. And this is something we talked about, that if the month closed below 560, which was your EQ at the time, we would be expecting to probably see the 372 value. So if this can reclaim 372, you've got a shot here at potentially sweeping the previous month low and then maybe trading this back up to like the monthly open around 427. But realistically, if 372 is lost, the trading setup that I'm looking for is all the way down here. I'm looking for this to come down back into like 236, 190 range. And then I might be interested in looking at a long there. So if you're a Zcash person, that's kind of your setup right now. Otherwise, you're just knife catching, in my opinion. I really wanted this to take the high so I could get a short. I was looking for the SFP because historically it has SFP'd at its local highs, but it didn't give that to us. So just waiting for this box or waiting for something to set up above 372.
So either way, you're looking for a long, right? Sounds like Magic. Either it gets above.
In that regard, yeah.
Yeah. So it gets above 370. So now for the people watching Magic, because I've been in scenarios where you enter too early, you don't wait for a proper retest. If it does go up and it reclaims 372, what do you want to see for you to feel confident that it's not just going to give it back up right away?
Some people use like a 3-bar rule. Some people just look for entry triggers. If I'm coming up here, I want to see, for me, how I like to do things is I look for SFPs quite a bit. And one of the things that I've been back testing pretty heavily recently, both on low and high time frames, and some of the guys in the group are now taking it on themselves to do so as well, is when we get a swing failure pattern, what we want to see is we want to see the percentage of the candle in terms of closure. So like, let's say that this daily candle is swept right here, and it's an SFP on the daily and everything else is bouncing. And so we should expect this to maybe bounce too, right? So what I start looking for is, where is the 50% mark of this candle? And so the reason I'm doing that is I really want to know how strong was this closure? Did we leave people underwater here? How big is the wick, right? So the 50% mark is just a very easy and obvious area to be looking to. So you'd go to like an hourly saying that, okay, on the daily, we've swept the low. If I get a closure above 350, I'm looking to take this as a long trade underneath that premise. And so from there, you can start building out a plan. And the most important thing for what you guys can see is, where can I put a stop loss and where can I validate it, right? And so now you're just looking at things and you've got R to R. We know at 2 to 1 R to R, you can lose like 60% of your trades and still make money. So, I mean, you start to really get things as an advantage. But locally, you would just be saying, okay, can I back test this range? And all we're doing with that range is saying, I think that this would be fair to where the range started. It's where it broke above the 2021 high. And I'm actually going to not extend this over. Not that it's going to make a huge difference. We'll just put it to here because that's where this was living at. And so I would just say I want to back test the range. Can I get a back test of the range? And that's my first take profit. And if that back tests into that range, I'm going to take profit here. If it continues up, I'm going to take profit at the point of control. However you want to work it out. And you can see now you have like 4 or 5 to 1 setups. And then the key here is to know that, these trades can fail. So risk is very important. But if I lose this trade 2 times, it really doesn't matter because I can realistically win like 18 to 20% of my trades at a 5-to-1 and be fine. I'm not saying go out there and just lose trades, guys. I'm just saying make sure that, when you're taking trades, take good setups, but take setups that allow you to lose trades, I guess. Don't just take setups to take them. This is giving you some grace. If you lose 1% a couple times, but then you win 5%, you can see how the numbers over time are in your favor. And that's where most people fail, though, is they don't do that. They eventually just start trading on, I feel like this is a good time. I feel like this is a good trade setup, or I've been hot, so I can't be wrong. Hey, Robin, sometimes he's right. I'm sure sometimes he's very wrong too. But
he's like, man, I feel like Zcash is gonna break out. It was at like $30. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is there news? I think I feel it, man. And it like 20x's. I'm like, okay, something's wrong with this guy. You said, Magic, and I'll let you go right after this. I think you said something very important. You said allow your trade setup, or let your trade setups allow you for losses, or what was the wording? I just literally butchered it.
Yeah. Take trade setups that allow you to take losses, basically.
Bingo.
Because
what
you're
a
going
great
to
piece
take
of
them.
advice, man.
Like it's a guarantee.
What a great piece of advice, because no matter what a lot of influencers tell you, no one has a 100% win rate. In fact, in our industry, if you're clipping 56 to 60% win rate, you're considered really good. So,
yeah.
Right, Magic?
Well, most people don't realize it. So I've posted on my Twitter before. I've had like months where I did like 80%, but they don't understand that the win rate and the win ratio are different. Like your risk to reward, those trades are garnering much smaller wins. So it barely. Usually, you can post a really high win rate like that and have almost the exact same P&L as if you took trades that you lost more but you won more on, if that makes sense. So it barely evens out. You're just spending more time at the screen and itching that gambling itch, in my opinion, at that point. So, when you guys see someone post like, hey, I have a 90% win rate, even if it's legit, I would really caution that I bet their P&L isn't that great in comparison to the win rate. And what's most important is to find something that allows you to stick to a system. And if that's, taking 100 trades every week, great. If it's taking, 5 trades a week, and only taking, good setups, but you win less, but you win more when you win, like that's fine too. Just whatever works for you. But yeah, you'll see people out there post things like, oh, I've got an 80 or 90% win rate. And it's like, yeah, but at what cost? You probably spent 12 hours a day at your screen, and you probably have 1-to-1 setups at most. So
I told you not to say anything, Magic. Jesus, I told you this in confidence, man.
Right. It's good for early traders. I'll say that for young traders, it's really good. Just don't let the win rate go to your head. It's good for young traders because you get practice, you get more swings, and that's always good. When I was learning to like day trade more, I would put $300 in an account. That's all I would put in there, and I would take hundreds of trades a month. And I would pick one asset, and I would just sit there and trade that one asset. Like I did it with XRP in February one year. I took like 350 XRP trades on like the 1 minute to like 3 minute time frame. Obviously wasn't working. So it was like, I had nothing better to do. But it was just one of those things, and you're not going to turn $300 into millions of dollars, but worst case scenario is you blow a $300 account in that case. Or if you guys wanted to lower that amount to $100, you could do it. Same premise. But it's good to have real money in there. I will say that a lot of people say paper trade for a long time. I'd say paper trading can work. But I would just say you should really just spend that time back testing and put a very small minimal amount of money into an account that you don't mind losing, and trade with real money. So you actually have some skin in the game, so you can feel yourself, calculating position size, understanding that, money can just disappear.
Magic. And the emotions.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, man. A lot of people sleep on that. And guys, by the way, if you're watching, what Magic is telling you, if you've been interested in getting into trading or making money trading, you see people like CryptoFace and, Magic, Lifer, they're posting, 20, 50, and in CryptoFace's regard, he's posting $250,000 P&Ls. You got to start somewhere. And what a lot of people don't talk about is the emotional side of investing or trading. So if you're doing paper money, it's not real. Well, you need to put it to test. I 100% agree with what Magic said. Think of it like you're paying someone to mentor you, or you're paying for a course, whether it's $100, $300, $500,000, whatever it is. Use that to trade. You're probably going to blow up the account, but guess what? You'll feel the highs, you'll feel the lows, and you'll work your way to the middle. That's what I always recommend. So Magic, we love having you on the show, man. You are an absolute gem, my friend. We do have Magic's Discord link pinned to the top of the comments. Please go join his Discord. He does special live streams in there. Him, his business partner Max, their community, they're constantly posting trade setups, updates, just talk. It's a great place to be. So I'd highly recommend you guys go join. And Magic, we appreciate you as always, my friend, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, brother. All right. I do want to, well, first of all, I want to give a big thank you to CP. CP's our new Jimmy, our new whale super chatter. He said, $20 super chat said, Bitcoin called and said, is that green candle in your pocket or are you just happy to see me? I think it's both. It's a green candle that expanded to the upside with volume. I wish Rob was here to make fun of me or give me a look. I miss Rob. I miss you, Rob. Okay, let's talk about this. This is one more thing on Vanguard, then we'll move on. Also, Brennan, I want you to look through the charts, my friend, and tell me if there's a trade setup you like. And if there is, cut me off and tell us so we can make some money. From Adam Livingston. This is one of the biggest Bitcoin milestones ever recorded because he's talking about Vanguard. Vanguard controls the deepest pools of long-term capital. Vanguard sets fiduciary norms for advisors. Vanguard inclusion unlocks 401k flows. This is massive. Vanguard normalizes Bitcoin in default portfolios. Vanguard accelerates benchmark-driven adoption. Vanguard creates supply-driven price repricing. Vanguard signals the end of institutional resistance. This is a structural transformation of Bitcoin's relationship to global capital markets. Bitcoin is entering a phase where price discovery is driven by long horizon, sticky institutional flows instead of pure retail speculation. This is the transition from early adoption to systemic integration, and it is irreversible. Unless something catastrophic happens to Bitcoin, then at that point, yada, yada. But at the time being, I agree. That's a very well put out statement. What does this guy do? Adam Livingston, the Bitcoin wizard, author of The Great Harvest. He's a holder of MicroStrategy. All right, cool. That was great. But it's not just Vanguard. It is also BOA, Bank of America. They are now recommending a 4% allocation to Bitcoin and crypto to their wealth management clients. And it says, imagine hearing this 5 years ago. Imagine hearing this a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. People were getting debanked. Some people, if you have a Chase account, are still getting debanked. I'll tell you what, I have an account at Bank of America. We've had a business account. We have a business account at Bank of America. And when I set up our LLC for the company, there's crypto is nowhere in that LLC. And that's for a specific reason. Because at the time, 4 or 5 years ago, when we set up the LLC, crypto was not where it is today in terms of market sentiment, how people view it. So I didn't want to not be able to open a bank account, yada, yada. When we open the business account, again, same thing. What do? We're in media. We're in digital services. Never mention crypto. When I set up our business account on the centralized exchange, because you guys know a lot of our partnerships, you get paid in stable coins, not the project's token, to align ourselves with the community. So we don't take profits and essentially dump on the community. And again, same thing. Scared to do Bank of America, so I had to open up a credit union account that I had to ask them specifically, are you guys okay if my money comes from a crypto company? And they said yes. So now it's a lot different. People can freely transact with crypto, to crypto, from crypto. And so it's really nice to see. And hopefully the whole debanking of people that are in our industry stops. This is interesting. OpenAI ready to roll out ads. Nice. Fucking one more place to get ads, huh? I'm curious. They're charging people $20 a month or whatever the fee is. Are they going to get rid of that if you watch the ads? Or can you pay the 20 and not watch the ads? My bet is they're so underwater, they're probably going to charge you the 20 and you got to watch the ads. If you don't pay the 20, you're going to watch double the ads. That's probably what I think. But guys, I mean, this is not a surprise. This is just what they do. You know what I'm saying? I need some water. Ewar said the place I work at now uses Vanguard for 90% of their Bitcoin options. Their 401k options. Yeah. 401ks are massive, my friends. Mutual funds, 401ks. annuities. I mean, I don't know, all of it. So, oh, there's Jimmy. What's up, Jimmy? Finally, nice to see you in here. You've deserted us. You left us. You hate us. He probably doesn't hate us, but anyways. Okay, let's talk about liquidity. Liquidity is back. The Fed's $13.5 billion burst could be the start of crypto's next big run. This is posted by Mario Naufel. The U.S. Federal Reserve just flipped the script. Quantitative tightening is over. Liquidity is back on the menu, and it started with a $13.5 billion injection, a repo injection, the second largest since COVID and bigger than anything seen during the dot-com panic. To be fair, money situation was a little different. When the Fed hits the hose, risk assets. When the Fed hits the hose, huh? Okay. Careful hitting them hose, Mr. Fed. Risk assets usually get wet. Okay. Interesting choice of words, Mario. And crypto traders are watching the move like hawks, and they're getting liquidated like not hawks. The Fed pumped billions into banks via overnight repos, a clear sign of tightening stress in short-term funding markets. When the Fed hits the, or no, I already went through that. But here's a twist. Historically, liquidity crunch and repo flood equals rocket fuel for risk assets once the panic subsides. Stocks like it. Crypto loves it. This comes after the Fed drained roughly $2.4 trillion during their quantitative tightening since mid-2022. Now the hose is reversing direction. Is this the start of the next crypto rally? Depends on which expert. And he talks about what the bulls think, what the bears think. Short term, crypto gets a relief bound. This is Mario's prediction. Take it with a grain of salt. Short term, crypto gets a relief bounce as markets price in the end of QT. Medium term, Bitcoin will dance between two poles. What is up with the stripper, the hose, and the hooker innuendos here? Mario's guys, marriage okay? Or has he been going to Pahrump, visiting the brothels? I don't know, but Mario, get some help. The Fed's liquidity drip versus the BOJ's liquidity drain. This is going to be a big one, guys. Bank of Japan. Everyone's freaking out about Bank of Japan raising interest rates. So keep that in mind. If that overhang clears, I think Bitcoin shoots up to 100K easy. If everything remains, and in fact, if we add on top of the bullish news that we've gotten over the last couple of days, long-term, if Powell signals rate cuts, it's not going to matter long-term because Powell's going to be gone. Setup looks explosive. Think late 2020. Potentially. We'll see what happens. So a lot of good news, which is why my brain just cannot allow me to say it's a bear market, right? Call me retarded. I don't know. Call me blind. I see things, and I've been through bear markets, multiple bear markets, and this is just not, outside of maybe price action to some extent, this is just not bear market things. There's not bear market things. They're not. They're the greatest things. I got to stop watching Kill Tony and Shane Gillis doing that Trump impersonation. That was a great show, by the way. Anyone seen that? Kill Tony so good. Shane Gillis is so good. That guy's talented. And Adam Ray, too, with Joe Biden. That was hilarious as well. But anyways, let's talk about the markets a little bit. Let's see what's up, what's down, what's sideways. 24 hours largest gainers include Pudgy Penguins. Bow, 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 bow. You know, I put up a Patreon post yesterday, and in my I still hold category, Pengu's one of them, and it wasn't pretty high up, but it's up there. SWE up 21%, Pumped Out Fun up 20%. We have a meme coin, we have an L1, AAVE, Injective, Cardano up 14%. Okay, Ada, Okada. We have Cardano running, I believe, off the news that Circle is coming to the chain. I'll believe it when I see it. Thank you very much. I am very hopeful. It shouldn't stop at Circle. It should expand to Tether. Get them both. You're asking for 70 million ADA. Get them both. It should have happened a long time ago. It hasn't, and it should happen as soon as possible. But don't stop at Circle. Do Tether, and then get Chainlink. And then start getting some data. And then, I don't know, get people to come build some badass products. Go talk to Jupiter and say, hey, Jupiter, I know you guys expanded to SWE, you expanded to Monad or whatever else. Come expand to Cardano. What do you need? What do you need to expand to Cardano native tokens? Or find superstars in your own ecosystem, which I don't know if there are. No offense to anyone that actually is a superstar. Maybe we just haven't heard of you yet. And get them to I don't know, put money behind their marketing. I don't know. Do something. Bring people on the chain. But you need the stable coins. Thank you very much. And then WorldCoin, EtherFi, yada, yada. What's down the most today? Let's take a peek. Antonio Brown is down. Leo, Pax Gold, RLUSD. Well, that's what? Oh, that's a dollar. It's a stable coin. Sorry, guys. Thank you very much. J.N. Fleming said, good time to swap Cardano to something else. Very interesting statement there. I shared yesterday that I got rid of 80% of my Cardano position and I held at 20%. And the reason is what I just shared right now is they're potentially getting a stable coin. There's always that what if. Well, what if they do get their shit together? What if they do get the stable coins in? What if they do get the integrations? That's the what if. The 20% is the what if. Now, if you're a majority in Cardano, then J.N. Fleming might not be bad. Bad advice. What he or she put in the chat. Maybe trim your position down. For all we know, guys, this could be a bull trap, a dead cat bounce, and we have more downside. No one knows. So always, right? 2 in the hand or 1 in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Remember that saying. Unless it's, never mind. I'm not.
Yeah, nope.
But what it is well, what you can actually grab and hold in your hand is worth more than what you can possibly get, right? So if in your hand right now you can take some profit or cut your position size a little bit on a project you're unsure of, do it. It could go up to 60 cents, sure, but it can go back down to 35, 20 cents. So I think that's all I got for the show today, man. Brandon, you got anything else before we log off this sucker?
I got one little trade set up that if anybody wants to just hit some really quick scalps, and you guys can
scalp me, bro.
Yeah, okay. You guys can just hit some quick scalps. This range right here, the market's starting to chop a little bit. Everything, Bitcoin starting to chop, Solana starting to chop, everything's starting to chop. On XRP right here, I'm seeing this. I trade trend lines, like Magic was saying. That's something a lot of people like to do. That's how I trade personally. There's a trend line down here, and it doesn't look like it's going to push through that trend line every time. It takes a big bounce off of it and pushes right back up. And then it stops up here, and it's making it another, I mean, you could say trend line, but it's making like a top or like a area of resistance up here. So if it was me and you guys needed a trade setup or were itching for a trade setup, and if it was me, and which I'm not, but if I was, I would get in right here, and then I would hold it up to the top of this trend line right here, and
Give
then
us prices, my friend.
I would get in at $2.01 and 10 cents. 10 cents.
That's 10 cents. Yeah, that's $2.16, right?
Yeah, 16 cents, and I would get out at $2.18, and then I would get in a short down from $2.18 down to $2.17, and then I would get in another long from $2.17 to $2.18, and then I would do it until I get a breakthrough. But I would need confirmation of a bounce off of this trend line right here for me to get into a trade. So if I had for instance, if this was a black candle right here, if this was a bearish candle right here, and this was a bearish candle pushing through the thing, I would not get in the trade right there. But I saw a bounce, a blue candle, no fair value gap, but it's a blue candle. I got a rejection off of it. It's continuing to push to the upside. I would get in a trade.
And for the people that are not colorblind, blue candle is a green candle, yes?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Correct.
Beautiful. Is that how's your prop funding account been doing, by the way?
It's been all right. I'm about break even right now. I've been very cautious with it. I'm not trying to blow it up.
Yeah.
But what'd you say?
I'll kind of show you guys what the interface looks like. So you guys know we're working with client funding. You can either do instant pro accounts or you can do challenges, right? This is a way if you've been wanting to get into the trading space, you just don't have a lot of capital to put up. You can spend $300, get a $100,000 simulated account. And if you hit your profit targets and your percentages, you can draw real money from it, even though it's simulated trading, right? And if you're good enough, they'll reach out to you and say, hey, you're good. We want to take you live. We want to give you an actual $100,000 and we'll take a little cut because, well, we're funding you, but you keep a majority of the profit. So that's what they do. If you guys want to take a trading challenge, there's a link in the description of the video. For the instant accounts, use OLA15. And for the other ones, use OLA25, OLA, for discount codes. You get special discounts for those. So shout out to Client Funding. Me personally, I am down $73. You can see my trades here. We do it through Bybit. So you need a Bybit account, demo trading account. I'm going to do a video on how to set that up soon. My first trade I put in, it was I scalped looks like a long on Bitcoin. Yes, a long on Bitcoin, 91.1 up to 92.420, made $650. Got into XMR. This one, the liquidity wasn't very good, so it didn't hit. My stop loss was at 412.55. And so my loss would have been a lot less. That's why you got to be careful with slippage and liquidity. Even on Bybit, something like Monero didn't have a lot of liquidity. So 459, lost that one. Toncoin, it went against me almost immediately, which is why I had a really tight stop loss. So I lost $26. And then the previous Bitcoin short got stopped out from 86,950 of my entry to 87,294 for a loss of 235. So net, I am down like $73. I will be putting in some more trades here soon. And so, yeah, that's all I got. So big thanks to Client Funding. And big thanks to all of you watching. I'm going to tornado us out of here. I want to give a big thank you to our production team in the back. Big thank you to Magic. Big thank you to Brendan. No thank you to Rob. He left me.
Cash is Cuvée.
And big thank you to my wife.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.